Hey, this is Oz, and I'm making a video around version 2 of the moisture system to explain some of the changes. So the first most critical change I've made is that the mod now controls all of the weather. Um, so the way I've done this is to create the idea of a weather profile, which essentially defines where your map is. So for a lot of existing maps, I've created a mapping so that it will choose an appropriate weather profile. Um, but this is kind of part of the change. So in this case, I'm on a Mediterranean environment. And we now have a forecast. So this screen used to show the min-max moisture for each month, but I decided to replace it with this screen. So this is our current season, and these are future seasons, and you can sort of see effectively the predicted say sun and how that differs to normal years effectively. um, so you might notice that over these seasons we've got quite high sun. um, the reason for that is within a weather profile there are different scenarios. So you will have a normal, which will be the most common, um, but there's also more extreme variants which are less common, but they represent, for example, in this case, a drought scenario where you're going to have a lot more sun and your moisture is going to therefore be a lot lower, which will cause you problems. Um, the yeah, so that's pretty much that. The forecast for future seasons is going to have some wrongness to it applied. So yeah, the autumn will be more wrong than summer, but it's still going to give you a pointer about what's going to happen. And then we have the history here, which is just exactly what happened, so you can compare year on year. So as part of this change as well, in previous versions of the mod, if you harvested crop and the moisture was not at the ideal range, the quality would be lower. This version changes that slightly. It's a little bit more complicated in that we also have yield impact. So this screen used to have the impact to quality shown in a table, but now you kind of get this kind of visual per crop. So we still have the ideal range, and that's pretty much the same. And if you're in the ideal range, you're going to get 100 yield, 100 quality. But if your moisture is too low, then you're going to see that your yield goes down. If your moisture is too high, then the quality will go down. And obviously in this area, this is where you're going to have to dry the grain in a silo or grain shed back into this range. Also as well, on top of this, we have withering. This isn't a kind of yes or no in terms of withering. It's an impact upon the field. So if you really suffer into this range, which is not going to be that likely, it might happen in this drought scenario I'm in right now, but it's not going to happen all the time. Then you could lose patches of crop. Okay, so weather profiles I mentioned, I'm not going to show them exactly, but they're defined in XML. So I've written a guide. It's on my GitHub. So if anyone wants to author their own, then they're very welcome to. And all you have to do there, it's a bit like some other mods where you drop it into the mod settings folder in my mod, and then they'll just show up in game. So other changes, I've eased the rotting rate for everything. So the rate that bales rot is reduced, and the rate that material on the ground is reduced, and that's both the sort of exposure, which is the time before rot starts, but also then how fast it rots as well. There's been a lot of bug fixes, especially around multiplayer. The I've rewritten actually a lot of the processing for material that's on the ground, because I actually don't encounter this myself, but I've seen a lot of people who, when they mow a lot of grass, they get stuttering as I process it. So I've rewritten the way that I process that to do it in a more continuous basis. So hopefully that's going to give better performance there. I also scale the impact, so when it's raining, the moisture level will go up in a way that's scaled by the number of days per month, and that's just to try and make these seasons that exist as part of my weather profiles coherent. So this is just a bit more balanced. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. There's a couple of other bug fixes in there, but you see the changelog. And yeah, I'm looking forward to feedback on the regional profiles that I've created, and if there's any problems with that, then I'll obviously do tuning. So yeah, thanks.